Welcome to Spiritual 411. This is the podcast for you to come to for your spiritual needs, whether you're someone that's just waking up, you're on your ascension path, you're getting into connection with your own psychic abilities, your clairs, wherever you're finding yourself on this journey and you're brought here. Welcome. I am Melissa L. Watkins, evidential medium and master instructor with integrated energy therapy, and more can be found about that on my website at melissalwatkins.com. But today what we're going to talk about is psychic attack, negative entities, and addiction. And what do those things have in common? I feel like this is going to be a pretty lengthy discussion. I could be wrong. These they go where they go. I channel this message from my higher self, from Angel Metatron, who I work with very closely, or, whatever angels, guides want to come through. And I actually use the Archangel and Ascended Master Mega Deck by Kyle Gray to kind of bring through some help that we're actually going to look into at the end of this podcast. So if you're someone that does want to know who you can call on for help, I do have them. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome. If you're listening to the podcast, you can always find the video on YouTube at Melissa L. Watkins. But we do have Lady Nadia, Jeremiah, Mother Mary, Joan of Arc, and Kuan Yin here. And we do have another Ascended Master that wanted to come through that I'm going to leave for the very end of this discussion because we're going to then get into more of interdimensional conversation around negative entities and how that plays out in the universe. And so we have Commander Ashtar also coming through to kind of talk about that aspect of the dark. We are a planet of duality, and we have the light and the dark, and the darkness feeds on the light. And so we're gonna get a little bit into that conversation at the end. So if you're someone that really is into cosmic galaxy brothers and sisters that are off planet, we're going to talk about that. But for those of you who are here because I said things like psychic attack and addiction, thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is a difficult situation for me to talk about because it's so personal. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know that I have talked about the fact that, my brother had to come through in one of my classes to kind of give me a reading through one of my students who was giving a demonstration to talk about duality, and that, there is darkness here, and that we have to be aware of the darkness, and that we can't just try to reside with our head in the sand, that everything is light and love. I wish we could, because if we could, I would be doing it for sure. But we are on a planet of duality, and so we need to talk about psychic attack. We need to talk about negative energy. We have to talk about how that impacts addiction, and we have to talk about how that impacts us as a society, a human race, as part of the cosmos, honestly. So welcome, everyone. Welcome. If you're new to me, thank you so much for finding me. Everything I feel like is divinely guided. I feel like those who need me find me. And so if you're finding me, you're not someone maybe who has known me before, then welcome. And for those of you who've been here with me, thank you so much. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the comments. Please, if you're watching or listening on Spotify, if you're listening on iHeart, if you're listening on Apple, would you please would you comment? It really, really helps the algorithm and help more people find me, because I do feel like that has been the mission for the past decade now. Those who need me find me, whether it's been a class, whether it's been a reading, whether it's been energy work, whether it's been coaching, whatever it's been, whether it's, just literally my YouTube channel, Facebook, I appreciate all of the support. So thank you. So yeah, let's talk about this. So psychic attack. Psychic attack is when someone is intentionally sending negative energy to you. They are attacking you with bad intentions. They're attacking you with jealousy. They're attacking you with criticism. They're attacking you with really, really low vibrational frequencies. And so, we're talking about really nefarious. You're a light. I don't like your light. You annoy me, or you have something I want, and I have to bring you down. And some people do this kind of unconsciously. Like they just send you the jealousy. They just send you the criticism. They just send you, you know, hate, evil, right? Um, through thoughts. They just think it. And so that does impact you, especially if you've got enough of those people in your life. You start having anxiety, you start having, physical symptoms, stomach aches when you're around that person, you start getting headaches. It really starts manifesting when you're in that person's energy that it doesn't feel good. And so those psychic attacks, I think those are very human. And I feel like, for many people, that is something that we're very used to. And we start to really recognize that, like, that sister-in-law, that brother-in-law, that coworker, whoever it is in your life, when I'm around them, it don't feel good, right? And sometimes they come in my thoughts and it doesn't feel good. And so that's the other thing, like when you have people popping into your thoughts that you're not thinking about them, like you're doing something random, you're doing something completely different, it has nothing to do with them or anything about them, and all of a sudden they're popping into you, and all of a sudden it doesn't feel good, right? That is a psychic attack. And for most of us, we know how to kind of like ignore it, or honestly, we ignore it, right? We just like, oh, I don't know why that person popped in, but I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. And for the most part, that does kind of take care of it. But what I want to talk about today, I want to go deeper. I want to go deeper into the psychic attacks that are what people would call spell work, what people would call voodoo or hoodoo, what people would call very intentionally uh, attaching themselves to me, whether that's the dark empath, the covert narcissist, people just who feed on your light. They know that being around you amplifies their energy in a way that they're able to now enter rooms they could not enter on their own. They are now able to be in that meeting, or they're able to make that amount of money, or they're able to get respect from people that in the past did not respect them, and maybe even not necessarily respecting them, but they're putting up with them, right? All of a sudden they're not shutting them out, they're not closing the door on them, they're not keeping them away, they're kind of not really maybe even inviting them into the room, but they're allowing them to be in the room, right? And so this is way more than these people have been able to do on their own. And so what happens is, you, the light, right, the connection, you're amplifying their energy. But as you're amplifying their energy and your energy is here, they're pulling you down. So now all of a sudden you're not making the money you're used to making. You're not being in the rooms that you're used to being in. You're not getting the respect you used to get. Like all of a sudden there's little things or little ways in your life where you're like, this is not what this is what's going on here? Like, what's going on here? Why am I being left behind? Why am I not being invited? Right? Why am I not being included? And it's because they're psychically attacking you. If we're talking covert narcissist and you've disconnected from them, then there probably is some character assassination going on also. But I feel like that's a different conversation. I really want to keep this into the realm of energy and psychic attack and how that plays into real dark energy that you find yourself climbing into a deep depression, or you're finding yourself going bankrupt, or you're finding yourself in despair, right? Where you've got someone or maybe even a group of people who are really, really intentionally trying to bring you down, whether you recognize it or not. And many people don't recognize it, especially if you are someone. Sorry about that. Whether you are someone who understands this or knows what's going on, but in some way you're feeling it. Whether you're dreaming about people you don't want to be dreaming about, whether again they're coming into your thoughts, or you're starting to see signs of them, right? This, their team keeps popping up on different things, or something about something they like keeps showing up, or people keep talking about them in front of you and you're like, I didn't know you knew that person, right? um, but you're starting to get real signs from the universe that this person is around you, and maybe you haven't seen them in a long time. Maybe this isn't something that you're, again, consciously aware of, that they would be around, but all of a sudden you're starting to get these really strange signs, or um memories popping in, or ways in which you're thinking about this person, and it's like, why, what's going on, right? Or you see the type of car they drive, like, a lot. Again, just things that remind you of them, and like you haven't seen this person in a decade or decades, or you really have like disconnected from this person, or group of people, and it's like, what is going on here? And it's real. Them sending an intention, whether they're lighting a candle while they do it, whether they're using some kind of ritual while they do it, it's still impacting you. So you can call it whatever you want. But when you start to recognize that this is what is going on, that you're not being able to move in the way that you've been moving, and this is across the board in any part of your life, whether it's relationship or work, money, love, like they always want to hit you where it's going to hurt, right? So that's going to be your heart, and that's going to be your pocketbook. Finances, career, like that's all tied to safety and stability. That's all root chakra. So if they're hitting you there, they know that they're disrupting your support system, the ability to keep yourself safe and stable. So all of a sudden you're having the bankruptcy, or you're getting evicted, or you're getting the car repossessed, or people are just slamming the door in your face, or people that you could rely on in the past for support are just not, they're not showing up, and they're almost turning their back on you when you're reaching out. It's very intentional, and it's a psychic attack. It's an energetic attack. And for those of us who are good people, we live in, trying to help others, be there for others, take care of others, take care of ourselves. And we don't swim in this lower frequency level. For many of us, we don't recognize what's going on because it's just not part of who we are. Or maybe even, our core family or people that we've associated with. It really only takes one person. It really only takes one person to negatively impact your life in such a way. And if you're someone who's unconscious about this, then it's going to be so much easier for them to slip in and manipulate situations around your life, around your goals, around your support system, around your resources, that they're now putting in their own basket. They're filling up their own cup with. because they can't do it on their own for whatever reason, and it doesn't really matter. But it's really important for you to not discount when you're feeling like something's not right in the state of Denmark, or someone is trying to spin something and it's like, "Oh, wait a minute." When people around you are trying to spin something so hard, they're trying to convince you of something that they're afraid of dealing with, holding on to. It's their stuff, right? And so this is where the more you're aware of this, the more you can step back, stay in your sovereignty, stay in your power, and not let this continue to the extent that you will have to reclaim, climb out of, fix, rebuild. You won't get to a desperate situation if you start to really understand how this works. So, if you look at the emotional chart, and fear is down in the bottom with lust and greed kind of under fear. And then on top of fear, you grief and anger and resentment. And then you come up into like boredom and contentment, right? And they're kind of in the middle. So as crazy as it sounds, boredom and contentment are way better to be in those emotions than to be in the fear, right? And then on the other side of the boredom and contentment is the love and the compassion and the gratitude and the discernment and the higher frequencies. And then above that is enlightenment. And I was actually having a conversation with someone that I've been coaching for a while, and we just got to the end of her next package, and she was like, we've been doing this for a while. She's like, when are we going to be done? And I was like, wow. I said, okay, so let's revisit the goals that we set, because there's no being done. We are human. We are here having a human experience. Doing work. We're going to hit milestones. But if you're finding me, chances are you're clearing generational trauma. Chances are you're an empath with a lot of narcissistic abuse pattern. Chances are, if you're finding me, you've had patterns and patterns and patterns with people that are very similar energetically. And so that is a pattern that has, you've been in it over lifetimes, right? So now we're also clearing past life stuff. And so I said to her, I said, unfortunately, I mean, if you feel like we've achieved the goal that you set originally and you're good, then we're good. I said, but to be done, we'd have to get to enlightenment. And I don't know that we're going to get there, right? I don't know that I'm going to get there. I'm probably not going to get there. I'm a work in progress, right? So, Jesus got there, Buddha got there. If you've got other examples, please put them in the comments who got there. But, enlightenment is pretty up there. And so when you're looking at yourself on the emotional chart, like, give yourself a lot of credit if you're kind of above fear and around boredom and contentment. It means that you have healed to some extent trauma and fear imprints, and you've done some inner child healing, right? And so if you're someone that really wants to like get up into like the higher, like, you just have to keep doing the work. And there's levels, there's levels to all of this, and there's other emotions. So, you can definitely go on Google and, look for an emotional, chart and the frequencies that go with those emotions. Those are really cool. Those charts that show the frequencies. Because if you're someone that's really struggling with a frequency, you can actually go on YouTube and you can actually listen to that frequency that will help heal that. So, there's a lot of things you can do, but if we're not aware of what we're holding on to, then it's hard. And if we're not even and then not only what we're holding on to, but then to be aware of like people now throwing stuff at me, right? Now I got stuff coming at me that I got to be aware of, right? So psychic attacks, like it's really important to be aware that they are a thing, because as humans, we're psychically attacking each other, and sometimes unconsciously, through jealousy and that sort of thing. But for those who are now stepping into their multidimensional, they're opening their clairs, they're, on an ascension path of really stepping into their sovereignty and getting into connection with the clairs, their psychic senses. And so now, it's another level of attack, another level of psychic attack, because now they can, psychically attack you clairvoyantly and clairaudiently and claircognizantly and clairsentiently, where, they're attacking your ability to use those senses. Because if they can keep you contained, right? If they can keep you from being able to step into your psychic senses, it gives them a leg up. It gives them the ability to manipulate you. Because if they're attacking your clairsentience, then you're not feeling when they're manipulating you. If they're attacking your clairaudience, now you're not able to get the communication from your spirit guides that are giving you the information to move yourself in a positive direction, to, be on the roadmap of how, the choices and decisions that are going to be easier for you. And, I call it the roadmap of that they have the roadmap, right? The roadmap that kind of shows the easier way to navigate all your situations. And when you're in connection with your spirit guides and you're allowing them to you know put you on that roadmap and show you the way, like all of the sudden, you've got synchronicities popping everywhere. You're in the right place, you're being in the right meeting, you're getting the right information, you're getting the leg up, you're everything about you just feels, from people who maybe are not awake, like they just see you as really lucky, right? They just see you as, what kind of magic you got going on, right? How did you get so lucky? Well, it's not that you got lucky, it's that you did the work to be in connection with your spirit guides through, whatever process you went through. And for some of you, you've had these senses open since you were born, but many of you shut them down because you got afraid of them when you were little. You didn't have anybody to help you navigate them. And so you just shut it down for a decade or two. And now you're like opening back up to it. And now you're understanding that it's not a negative thing. And so, you've got a lot of people who don't want to see you rise. They don't want to see you have that shortcut, right? The easy path to be on the roadmap with your spirit guides. So they're going to shut down your psychic senses so that you can't get that information, or get that information as clearly and easily as you get it. And so all of a sudden, you can feel the negativity coming at you. You can feel the negativity restricting you. And this is also where you start, again, they're feeding off of your energy. And so this is where you start getting attachments, negative attachments that are attaching to you, whether they're attaching on your back and feeding off your energy that way, whether they're attaching around your midsection and they're feeding off of you that way. But they're attaching to you at the site where you're holding a lot of your own fear, because that fear energy they gravitate to, because it connects you to them. And so if you hold a lot of fear in your sacral chakra, then that's where they're going to attach to you. If you hold a lot of fear on your would have shoulders, your would have, could have, and should have, then that's where they're going to attach to you. If you have a lot of shame then this is, your throat area, they're going to attach to you. Um, these negative attachments are feeding off of your light, but they're also keeping you from being able to rise. Because when you're lighter, right? When you're working yourself up that emotional chart, you're raising your vibrational frequency and you're lighter. And the lighter you get, the less that the negativity can handle it. It's almost like the lighter you get, the more work that you do, you sour that milk. And so they detach. I can't tell you how many times in energy sessions I see the detachment as we're doing the energy work, and the angels are in your field, and they're clearing the issues in your tissues, and they're transmuting the darkness, the negativity, the fear, the trauma, the powerlessness, the unworthiness, like whatever it is that you're holding on to, they're transmuting that back into the light, and you're raising your frequency. So many times I see these entities, these attachments released. Because you've raised your energy so much that they can't keep attacking you. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. So in the energy sessions, sometimes I don't even realize they have an attachment until we get it. I see the release, and I'm like, oh, okay, hello, goodbye. It was nice knowing you. See ya. Thanks for stopping, but we're glad you're leaving, right? And so women who have a lot of reproductive issues, I've seen attachments leave there. People with anxiety, attachments, right on the at the throat or right there in the heart chakra area, gone, right? People who have really, really been narcissistically abused, they usually have a very thick cord around their neck that we cut, that we release. And sometimes it's an attachment. It's this stuff is real. And if you had told me this decade ago, I would have been like, you are crazy. This is craziness. This is crazy talk. But it's not. It's the universe that we live in, and it's how this universe works. And so the multidimensional realms, we have all of these beings that are around us that we can't see, feel, hear, smell, taste, touch, because we have a very limited view, very limited, sounds we can hear. Our vision is very limited for the spectrum that we can see. But when you start to open up your psychic senses, it's a whole new experience. And there's so many beautiful parts of it, but unfortunately today we have to talk about how to be careful, how to protect yourself, how to understand the negativity and how the negativity works. I think one of the reasons that I was brought to do this podcast, I really put off doing a podcast for a very long time. I thought I would just do the daily readings. I would continue to do the YouTube videos where I did, I pulled cards and kind of gave whatever came through that way. But Spirit needed us to have these conversations that are a little out there for those of you who are just finding me or finding this whole part of the spectrum of what's happening here on the spaceship Earth, right? But that's it. That's it. We have to know that we're in a vibrational, frequency-driven universe, and we are not alone through the different dimensions. And those dimensions are beautiful, but there's also dimensions that live in the dark. And so when you start to understand this and be aware of this, that's when you can really start to intentionally raise your frequency, because that is the easiest way to protect yourself. If you're living in love, if you're living in discernment, if you're living in compassion, if you're setting your boundaries, it's going to be way harder for them attached to you because you're not palatable. Your energy doesn't feed them. But if you're someone with a lot of trauma and you're someone that maybe you're just stepping into doing the work and you feel like you're carrying a lot of trauma, you're carrying a lot of fear, and you feel heavy, chances are you have an attachment. And this is where you start to work on raising your frequency. And for many of us, and I'm putting myself in this because I had to get energy work. I had attachments. I had one in the area of resentment on my divine feminine side, and it was powerful because when she pulled the energy out of that area, it literally felt like she was pulling out a knife that had gotten wedged in between my ribs. And I remember like lifting off the table a little bit, like that was more than uncomfortable. That was wow. And so that's when I knew this stuff is real. That's when I knew I can't bury my head in the sand anymore. And I have to share this with those who are maybe unaware or unaware to the level that they're being negatively impacted by psychic attacks and negative energy, not because they're bad people at all. I work with all kinds of beautiful people, beautiful hearts. But you're holding on to trauma. You're holding on to drama. You're holding on to generational trauma, past life trauma. You're holding on to stories that you've been told about yourself that do not serve you. And these are the things that are holding you into the space of being able to be psychically attacked or attached. Because you're resonating, you're in resonance with those energies that feed off of that frequency. I know it sounds crazy. I get it. I get it. But you don't have to live that way. And that's the beautiful thing. You don't have to live that way. So now we have to talk about how does this translate into the realm of addiction, right? Because it does. So the way I see addiction and the way I've kind of agreed with the way I've heard it being explained is that you've substituted your substance as the end all be all in your life that's going to save you. So it's taken you from any belief system or godliness that you had into godlessness. And then your substance is what you're attaching yourself to as your savior, as the thing that's going to keep you whatever, right? Addiction, any addiction, anything you're doing too much that's taking you into a negative spiral and you're losing yourself in. So this could be food, this could be shopping, this could be sex, this could be drugs, this could be money, this could be gambling, this could be porn, anything that's taking you down this very negative path of only being able to focus on that thing. So this frequency is going to be down there swimming in the lust and the greed. And so that's why some, almost, take this how this resonates, they can't let it go because they're attached to it and it's evil. It's evilness. It's not godliness, it's godlessness. So it's evil, right? Addiction is evil. I will say that. Addiction is evil. And, if you look at any of the programs, they talk about surrender, they talk about a higher power. Because the only way out of the evil is to get back into godliness. And God can mean whatever you want. For me, it's universe, it's creator, Christ consciousness. So you have an attachment. If you're in an addiction, you have an attachment. Whatever that addiction is for you is where your attachment is going to be. So if it's drugs, it's going to be around your nervous system. If it's alcoholism, it's going to be around your middle. If it's sex or porn, it's going to be around your sacral chakra, your sex organs. If it's money, root chakra, gambling. You're going to need help. You're going to need help. Whether it's a program or your connection to your own God. But it is something that you won't be able to do yourself. You're going to have to partner with some kind of higher power who can help you raise your frequency out of the attachment. And for many people, that's really hard to do on their own. Some do. Some do. Most need help, whether it's a program or physical help to detox, for sure. Physical help to regain support. I mean, regain your life, regain a home, regain a routine. But it's through that connection to raising your frequency into godliness and releasing those attachments. I have known people in treatment settings that I have sent energy healing to, and it helped. It helped release that attachment so that they could feel powerful enough to stick with it, to stick with the program, to stick with the healing. It's profound. It's profound. And if you know someone, pray for them. Sending that positive energy will absolutely make a difference. Absolutely make a difference. I'm just seeing here if Spirit wants to say anything more about addiction and addiction attachments. But I think we're going to leave it there. It might be something I do a whole new podcast or a whole nother podcast on just itself. But definitely wanted to put it in with the psychic attacks, because the attachments that you get through addiction, it is a psychic attack. It is an energy attack. It is attack on your humanness, your humanity, your ability to be in connection with God or creator or Christ consciousness or whatever you believe in, right? As long as it's in the light, I'm in, right? All right. So that's going to take us to, I actually think we're going to go through who's here that wants to come in. Then we will have the conversation for those of you who want to talk about the cosmos and Commander Ashtar and attachments from that multi-dimensional area, right? Those dimensions. Okay. All right. So when I sat down, I thought I would be actually going through the cards and like picking out certain people like Jesus and Archangel Michael and especially a lot of the archangels that I do work with in integrated energy therapy. So for those of you who don't know what integrated energy therapy is, I have a whole page on my website. And you can do integrated energy therapy separate or in the coaching. So however you want to do that. But I do work with 9 archangels in integrated energy therapy. And so I thought I'd be like literally going in and getting who I thought. And then when I sat down, they were like, nope, we're actually going to have you shuffle and we're actually going to let who wants to come through. And it was interesting because the first one flipped right out. And that was Lady Nada. Expanded heart. So openness, I can't see. Sorry, guys. Openness, liberation, let yourself love and be loved. And, this right here made so much sense because when you're being psychically attacked, when you're having a negative entity attached to you, it's because you're so far from love, right? Love is the one of the, it's right up there with enlightenment. It's one of the highest frequencies. So if you're swimming down in fear and anger and resentment and judgment and criticism, those lower frequencies, then you're kind of really far away from love. So for Lady Nada to come in, it really made sense because you need to reconnect to source love. You need to reconnect to that inner spark of sovereignty and inner divinity that you carry in your heart chakra. So if you're looking right there, that's what's being highlighted, the heart chakra, opening your heart chakra. And for many people who've been traumatized, their heart chakra is very, very blocked or shut down to whatever extent. Everything's on a scale, right? Everybody's on their own scale of how much or how less. So I do want to go in and read Lady Nada because to be honest with you guys, I'm not all that familiar with her, to be honest with you. I don't get these decks and then like really go through them and like learn all the cards and all the things. Like I learn with you as I pull them, as they show up for us in whatever the message is. So Lady Nada. Lady Nada is an embodiment of divine love, which totally makes sense if you look at that beautiful card with her heart chakra. And again, if you're listening on the podcast, thank you so much. And you can always watch the video, rewatch the video on YouTube if you would like to. She's an embodiment of divine love. She is one of the leaders of the Karmic Board and a member of the Council of Light and is dedicated to bringing Christ consciousness to Earth. In the Aura Soma healing system, Lady Nada's bottle is the divine counterpart to the Christ. Her mission is to help the human race embody divine love. Lady Nada is an aspect of Mary Magdalene. Some believe she's Mary's higher self who helped her tap into the teacher within. Lady Nada has had many incarnations and was one of the high priestesses of Atlantis. Those drawn to her or her mission are likely also to have had incarnations in Atlantis or similar ancient civilizations. So for those of you who are really tapping into past life, whether it's, generational trauma or past life trauma and patterns, and you really align with or resonate with Atlantis, then she would definitely be someone that you would want to call on if you are needing help in releasing or transmuting when the lower frequencies, whatever lower frequencies you feel like you're holding on to. When Lady Nada comes to you, your heart is ready to expand. It is opening wide for you to experience and embody divine love. This is a powerful opportunity to heal from past traumas regarding relationship and emotional letdowns. The journey of self-respect that you have been on is leading to a genuine experience of self-love and self-acceptance. This in turn will lead you to feeling of liberation. Within you is a great love, a love that is eternal and therefore will never die. Know that this is a mighty love and it's now time to share it without fear. Without fear. So, for those of you that are really being drawn to Lady Nada, it's because it is time to release whatever you've been holding on to your heart chakra that's been blocking it or shut it down, like whatever that emotional trauma is. One of the things that I probably should have prefaced earlier in this conversation is that emotions are frequency, but they're also frequency's energy, right? And energy can't be destroyed. So whatever emotions you suppressed in a past life that you didn't transmute, it's still there. Any emotion that your family has suppressed and you're carrying is still there. Any emotion that you are suppressing from this lifetime until you transmute it is there. And so this is why for some of you, you get into these bouts of depression or real stuck energy of anxiety, depression, dis-ease. You're in dis-ease. So your physical body has ailments. And, for those of you that are really, really being drawn to Lady Nada, it's because there's something that your heart is needing to let go of because it wants to expand. It wants to open up. It wants you to have love and to have love in a way that maybe you've never had love in your life before, to connect with others in a way that you've never connected with others before, to connect with God or Christ consciousness in a way that you've never connected with God or Christ consciousness before. It's time. That's what this is revealing to me. It's time. Okay, the next one that came through is Jeremiah. Personal responsibility. This is huge. I can't tell you how many times in a reading I tell people, like, the person I'm reading on for them, like, they're not willing to take personal responsibility for themselves or their actions. And those are very narcissistic people. Take responsibility for your choices. This is an opportunity for inner growth. So that's what Jeremiah is coming in to do, to help you take personal responsibility for your choices and decisions, good, bad, or ugly, because it's time. It's time to release it. It's time for you to live again in this expanded version of yourself where things come to you easily. Things come to you that are in your vortex. They want to drop into your experience, but they're being blocked because of something you're holding on to that you're not taking responsibility for. Something that happened, you said, you did, you experienced, you were a part of, whatever it was. And Jeremiah is saying, okay, you got to take responsibility for it. If you don't, you're not going to get to where you want to get to in this lifetime, in relationship, in success, in whatever it is you're wanting. Whatever your dream is, whatever your goal is. Think about that. What have you been really blocked on? What really hasn't worked out for you? What is that one thing in your life that you've just been trying so hard, striving and driving so hard? And you might attain a portion of it, or you might get close to it on a level. But it took a lot of effort and a lot of energy, and it's not even close to what you want. You got to take responsibility for those things that wasn't the best version of yourself. The action, the words, the choice or decision. It just wasn't that best version of you. Forgive yourself for that. Love yourself through that. You have to, forgiveness is letting go of the choice that you made at the time that you made it. Because you're not who you are now. So forgive yourself. Jeremiah, God's mercy, is a powerful angel who shines a light on the aspects of your life that need reflection and honesty in order for us to move forward with love and authenticity. He helps us understand and embody what it really means to have mercy and reach a state of forgiveness. Just by sensing his presence, you may feel guided to let go of an old story that's holding us in our past so that we can experience the miracle of our present. The energy of forgiveness is here, waiting to be called in and embodied. Angels are here too, inviting you to take a step back and review your current situation before moving forward. If you have received feedback or identified that your choices or actions have been to the detriment of someone around you, it's important to own your part of it. It's not easy to take responsibility for actions that hurt others, especially if it wasn't your intention, but you will feel better about owning your part than defending your actions. And in turn, this will welcome in the energy of peace. So for those of you who are really, really ready to have peace in your life, that's why he's coming through. And to be honest with you, I felt like these were all feminine energies. And even if you look, I know this is Jeremiah, but if you look at this card, I don't know, it really doesn't embody feminine energy. So I do feel like this is divine feminine energy coming through for each and every one of us, because in this new earth energy of releasing the patriarchy and releasing the competition and moving into unity consciousness and cooperation, this is what's going on in your own life too. Everything happening at the macro level is happening on the micro level. And you, my friend, are the micro level. And so Mother Mary is coming in. Miraculous encounter, divine experiences. Do not be afraid of being powerful. You're being called to step into your power. And you can't do that if you're swimming down in the lower frequencies that's drawing the psychic attack or allowing the psychic attack and the entities and the attachments and all the ways in which that you're not able to raise your frequency into who you came here to be, the authentic version of you. So, Mother Mary. I have channeled Mother Mary. So if you, I think that was in my, so I have a paid online subscription through my website, Living in Love. So if that's something you're feeling drawn to, I've actually channeled Mother Mary in different meditations, and I believe they're on the website or in the subscription. Okay, Mother Mary. Mother, the Mary of Jesus, was a simple woman with a divine mission to bring sacred love into the world. At the time of her death, she was assumed into heaven by the angels. It is for this reason that she is considered the Queen of the Angels, and her presence magnetizes the energy of miracles and the presence of angels. One of the most important lessons of Mary's life is when Archangel Gabriel brought her by the message that she was going to be the mother of Christ. When Gabriel appeared to her, she heard the message, "Do not be afraid, for I am an angel of the Lord." This wasn't necessarily telling her not to be afraid because she was having a spiritual vision, more not to be afraid of being this powerful. Mary's experience reminds all women that it's safe to be powerful and gifted. She is now dedicated to spreading this message and is the leader of a group of angels dedicated to world peace. You are having spiritual visions and miraculous encounters at this time. Don't be afraid of your gifts. They are God-given abilities to help you remember who you are and where you have come from. If you've been wondering about the spiritual significance of certain encounters or experiences, know that the main message the universe is trying to get to you is that you are not alone and you are a significant bringer of light to the world. Your psychic and spiritual abilities have been awakened by some sort of shift in your life. This could have been an overwhelming, challenging, or emotional moment, but it has set you on a path to remembering that you can heal and help others. Angels of peace are here now to guide you on your way to harmony in all aspects of your world. So if you're called to work with Mother Mary, you are an innate healer. Sorry, didn't mean to not be able to get that out, but whether you share that or not, just by being in your presence, people are healed. Okay. So I feel like Mother Mary is the beautiful, gentle, loving energy that comes in to help. Then and so this was interesting to me that the very next card that came out was Joan of Arc, sacred activist. Do not be afraid. Stand up for your beliefs. So we have the gentle presence of awakening and ascending. And then we have the activist energy. So if you're someone that resonates with the activist energy, Joan of Arc is a Roman Catholic saint and French heroine who is widely loved and respected for her role during the siege of Orleans in the 15th century during the Hundred Years' War, when she was a warrior helping to push the English out of France. Joan is reported to have been a visionary who encountered Archangel Michael and various saints from the age of 13 onward. So this might be something that you resonate with. Through these encounters, she developed the strength and courage that led her to the age of 17 to experience the voice of God telling her to expel the English from France. And although there were challenges along the way, she was able to lead the French to victory at Orleans. Your message is this: don't be afraid of being your most authentic self. Don't be afraid of the passion that is moving through you. Don't be afraid of the power and gifts that you're born with. Right now, there's a huge opportunity for you to stand up for what you know and what you believe. You may feel as though the world is against you, but there's something in your spirit that is telling you not to give up. If you feel unrecognized or misunderstood, don't let this lack of validation get between you and what you know is right. Today's message is a message of confirmation. You are on to something, and it's important that you don't pull back. Keep going, keep driving, and keep pushing because your truth will prevail. The greatest support you can have is the support of the universe. Call in the light of God and the angels and stand strong in your beliefs because the challenge you're facing is an opportunity to understand the purpose of your life. Believe, trust, let go. And then this is an energy that I've really come to connect with, to really step into. Kuan Yin. It is compassion. She is compassion. She embodies compassion. Enlightened action, choose compassion, move forward with grace. So, for those of you who are really ready to step into one of the higher frequencies of compassion, calling on Kuan Yin. And if you're someone that maybe is feeling aligned to Kuan Yin, or you've been feeling like you've been being led to Kuan Yin, then this is definitely confirmation and validation that she's here to work with you. Again, heart chakra, right there with the lotus. Kuan Yin, sometimes Kanyin, is a Buddha Vista. I'm sorry for those of you who are Buddhist. A being of pure compassion and love, and who has loved the world over, especially in the East. Buddhavistas are part of the Buddhist tradition, but are very similar to the Western concept of angels, beings of light and brilliance who will do anything they can to lead those who call on them into the space of peace and harmony. Kuan Yin has grace, and a pearly white light surrounds her. She can help us step into an embrace of care, forgiveness, and compassion. So again, this idea of forgiveness, if you're really struggling with it, she would also be someone that you could call in. If you've been hurt or disrespected by another person, she will help us to move into a non-reactive space so that we can stay connected to the light as we move forward. If you're finding someone or something difficult at this time, the best way you can move forward is to be by going beyond seeking to understand why something is the way it is or someone is the way they are. It's time to move beyond the behavior or mistakes or challenges that are happening around you. Don't be pulled into the misery and fear that is coming to you from an outside source. Refuse to operate on that level. Choose to take enlightened action for the sake of your own inner peace. Know that you can be compassionate and forgiving without having to excuse someone else's behavior. It's more about stepping into your own path and recognizing that you cannot allow your own wellness and peace to be affected by someone else's behavior or by the outcome of a situation that is beyond your control. Choose to move forward in your life with grace, realizing that if you allow yourself to get pulled in, it will only cause more hurt and anguish. And the best, most enlightened act you can perform is to move on with grace and forgiveness as your North Star. The energy of Kuan Yin is here to guide you in a composed, light-filled way. These are the energies that can help you to move your frequency out of the bottom half of the chart, out of fear, and up into forgiveness, compassion, sovereignty, enlightenment, love. Okay. So, Commander Ashtar was the final leadership activation. Time to evolve, trust in your ability to guide others. I'm going to kind of break away from the card because I want to talk about attachments and multidimensional beings that are here on planet Earth, that are galactic, part of the galactic family, just like on Earth. In the galaxy, there are positive and negative forces. Commander Ashtar is part of the Confederation of Planets, or the Galactic Federation of Planets, however you know it or resonate with it. But he is leading the charge to, what I'm hearing is protect ourselves from ourselves. That we keep getting ourselves into trouble as far as putting the planet in danger, which puts our galaxy in danger. And so Commander Ashtar is here to help keep us safe from ourselves with non-interference. And they haven't been completely successful in the non-interference because there have been times when they've had to interfere or something catastrophic would happen. And I think we can go back to 2008 and 2012, where we really did shift into unity consciousness. And so now, what I wanted to talk about in regards to Commander Ashtar and galactic beings being on planet Earth is that we have some dark galactic beings that feed off our energy and use us to propagate their own agenda. So again, right? Macro is impacted by the micro, just like the micro impacts the macro. And so we could take this conversation right into the macro, and talk about all of that with leaders and governments, but that's not this video. Maybe another video. We'll see. But what I do want to bring in is that there are beings on this planet who are feeding off of the energy of those of us who are raising the frequency of our lives and in turn the frequency of the planet. And so if you are someone that resonates with terms like light worker, star seed, indigo child, there's so many out there. And if you're here, you probably do. And so that's why this conversation about psychic attack is so important, because a lot of the psychic attacks that are coming at us are less from our human brothers and sisters and more from these galactic beings that are trying to keep us boxed into a mode of frequency that keeps them able to manipulate us and manipulate our lives and manipulate, again, it impacts, the planet, the ruling bodies, So this is why it's also important to raise your frequency, because you take yourselves, again, you sour the milk, you take yourselves out of resonance to what they find palatable. And by raising your frequency, you're out of connection. I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a very personal story. I haven't told many people this story at all. So please take what resonates. But I went to a church service. To a church I didn't really go to. But there was factions of this church that were not in alignment with the bigger church. So this was kind of like an offshoot of a faith. So they were kind of doing their own thing and not of the highest frequency. Lots of manipulation, lots of power. And we went for a very specific reason. And I went with my mother and various family members of family that I'm close with. And there was a lot of family there that I'm not close with that were part of this sect, I will call it. So we're sitting in this church, and I've been to many church services. If you know my story, I grew up Roman Catholic. My mother's still very Roman Catholic, and we did all the things. I think I talked about this in just the last podcast, actually, the last episode. And so we're sitting in this church, and it's a beautiful church. But I'm feeling a type of way. I'm feeling like my skin's crawling. I'm feeling like antsy, and I'm feeling like something's not right in the state of Denmark. I'm not liking this. I don't know. I know church, right? I know God. I know the frequency of God. I know the frequency of, you put a lot of people together that believe in God, and it's a beautiful feeling, right? Whether it's an Al-Anon meeting, whether it's a revival, whether it's saying grace at dinner, right? Anywhere where two or more are gathered, God says, I'll be there. And, if you want to look at it from the energy point, you're amplifying the energy of each other. So yes, it's raising your frequency to get into Christ consciousness. So however you look at it, it's a good thing. So I'm sitting in this church and I'm not feeling good. Not feeling good about it at all. And all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, I think I need protection. I think I got to bubble us. I think I need to call on God and really put some light on us, calling in the white light. And as I'm doing this, and I'm just literally sitting next to my mother in this pew, I don't even think the service had started yet. The people are kind of filling in. It's, hushed, it's reverent. But all of a sudden, we're on the right side of the aisle. And then there's the aisle, and then there's the left side of pews. So we're way over on the right side, and on the other side of the left side of the pews, like the back wall on the left side, out of my peripheral vision, and it wasn't completely peripheral vision, like I had turned my head a little bit. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps talking about this, guys. Whew, okay. Are standing to what looked like upright, bigger, thicker, reptile, alligator looking beings, two of them. And they're kind of looking straight from, so they're probably standing maybe 10 feet up from where I'm sitting over on the left side. And I turned my head a little bit and I'm looking out of my peripheral vision and I see them. Well, when I see them, it's a little shocking. And I go to turn my head more to get a better look, although I'd had a really good look. I could describe them to a sketch artist. That's how good I looked at them. And as I moved my head, they literally in unison turned right, like they were marching, and just walked away. And they probably took like 3 or 4 steps, and then they were gone, like invisible, like into the dimension that. And I just sat there like, that just happened. Oh my gosh. There's my confirmation that there are nefarious beings that what I was feeling in this church was not godly. And right after that service, I grabbed my mother and I said, we got to go. And she said, okay, well, I wanted to stop and talk. I said, nope, we got to go. And we were going to go to the reception after. And so got her out of there, got her back in the car. And she didn't really think anything of it. My mother's not really kind of aware. I mean, she's pretty happy-go-lucky, kind of goes with the flow. And I think she felt my urgency and was like, okay, we just, wanted to beat the traffic or, something like, in her mind, it was something very simple. Well, we were going to go to so we got to the reception late. And I definitely feel like, because we kind of not got lost, but we went a different way and we were using GPS. So we should have followed everybody else, but we didn't. So that was another way where I felt like we were being protected. Like God or my spirit guides were saying, okay, we're going to make it take you a little longer. So you're not kind of in that milieu of people, that energy. Right. So we did. We got there a little late. We sat in the back, and we ended up sitting with the family that we're closer to, more in alignment with us, and we left early. And in the other confirmation that I got was I had gone back up. We went up. We got food. We came back. We ate, and I was like, I would like another cup of coffee. And so I went back up, which I had to traverse the whole room to kind of get to the other end to where the food was set out and the coffee and tea and all that. And I had someone actually intentionally look at me, put their hand on my shoulder and push me. And I was like, and that just happened. So it was just confirmation that the energy I was feeling and that this was not something that I wanted to be a part of, and it was not godly. And so this is why I felt like I had to sit down and do this today, because there's a lot in this multidimensional universe, vibrational frequency universe, galaxy, galactic family, spirit guides, angels, higher beings, higher dimensional beings, call them whatever you want, but they're helping us. If you're residing in the higher frequencies, they're here for you. But if you're not, for whatever reason, like you've had some really bad things happen to you and you're holding on to a really lower frequency, you can move it. You can absolutely move it. And if you're somebody that you're not really sure, but you know that your life isn't going the way that you want it to, then you're definitely holding on to some heavy, dense energies. The beautiful thing is you can totally change your life. You can totally change everything that's going on in your life through the raising your vibrational frequency, through releasing and transmuting those lower frequencies, those lower energies, fear, trauma, greed, lust, criticism, judgment, getting into forgiveness, getting into authenticity, getting into empowerment, and calling on those beautiful beings that came through today that wanted to speak with you. And knowing that we do have help, that we're not alone. I've actually been doing some work this week with someone who has been really being psychically attacked hugely. It's been impacting her physically, emotionally, energetically, financially, really trying to disrupt her safety and her security. And it's powerful. The good news is the light wins. The light is winning. We are positively impacting her situation, but it's taken a lot of work. It's taken a lot of intention. It's taken a lot of doing the work. And so I just want you to know that whatever you're going through and whatever called you to listen to this episode, you're not alone. and you can absolutely change whatever it is you're ready to let go of. And if you need any more information, please head over to melissalwatkins.com. And I would love to be a part of your support system. All right, guys, have a beautiful rest of your day. We'll talk soon. And yeah, sending you so much light and love.